Uh, oh, it's Do You Hear Me? Mm-hmm. With Uniqo Williams. That's right, it's your boy coming at you on a Wednesday. Now, you know it's not quite my favorite day of the week, but I'm dropping this on YouTube on Thursday, which is my favorite day of the week. Why? Well, I was born on a Thursday, 11:47 a.m. Woo! So I got a very special guest. Y'all looking at her, y'all can see her. Oh, she's Miss Universe, Miss Indiana, Miss Black Expo, Miss Soul Bowl. I mean, the list goes on. She might be the next Chick-fil-A. You never know. But she got medals on medals, plaques on plaques. I'm trying to tell you. But I'd like to introduce you all, Miss Kendra LaSalle. How you doing today?
I'm doing so well. I'm glad to be here with you, bro.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me on.
Now, see, not a problem. I had to. Now this is y'all seen Olympus Mons on the show before. This his sister, y'all. So as y'all can see, that's where he get all his charming good looks and all. This big sis. So Kendra, I got to thank you. I got to thank you for something. Thank you for being there for my best friend all throughout our life. I never got to tell you. Now I got a little drunk one time. Told your daddy on Facebook. I told him, I said, thank you for creating Craig, man. I love
He's
him.
great. He's a great person
He
for
is.
real.
He's
Yes.
amazing. He's amazing. And I'm sorry I'm looking at my phone. I'm trying to get this link so y'all can watch this right here on Facebook Live. If you have not gotten a notification, man, make sure y'all turn the notifications on and all that. We do this live. So bear with me so I can figure out how technology works because I ain't about to write. Um, but but you know what, Kendra? What you been up to today? Let me. What you been up to lately? You just been traveling, doing your thing. Tell me about some of your adventures. What you been on? What this last year been like for you?
Man, I've been on the same thing everybody else has been on since 2020, right?
Mm-hmm.
Life has been topsy turvy for
Mm-hmm.
everyone. So, 2020 brought around a lot of changes,
Mm-hmm.
myself included. So, I got married, I moved cities, I changed jobs a couple few times. But it all worked out for the good. And so yeah, I've been just leaning into my life purpose and leaning into what that is. And a part of what my life purpose is helping people be creative with their self-expression and showing people how to be themselves and how to live their best life being themselves.
That's what's up because but 2020, I didn't know what to do because look, I work with schools. They closed them. I was like, boy, I think we had enough backup money so they could just let us hold on till graduation and all that stuff for them
Hmm.
seniors and whatnot. And I said, I didn't know what we was gonna do. Then people started saying, hold on, we need digital pictures for our digital graduations that can't nobody go to. We in the money, we in the money. So we back, baby. But it helped me. This pandemic, it just made you sit and look inside yourself, didn't it?
It did. It was a time like not to be all woo, but 2020 vision, right? 2020 was definitely like a time. But seriously, I'm not one of those people that like doesn't make connections. I make connections all day, every day.
Mm-hmm.
2020, that's what it was about. It was about like the inner reflection, like it forced you to sit your tail down,
Mm-hmm.
to settle down and really think about what was going on in your life, what was going on in your relationships. What do you want? Are you happy? You
Mm-hmm.
know, um, and even on the outside world, it caused people to start looking at like what's going on in the world, what things are not right in the world. So yeah, I'm on the same page with that.
I know they showing out. And we gotta get we. It's Do You Hear Me with Uniqo Williams. I gotta get into entertainment. Then we gonna get into the actual important stuff. But
That's right.
but I got to be messy for a second. Now during 2020 in the COVID, you ain't had nothing to do but sit up in that house and if you got somebody with you, that you attracted to. You ain't got nothing to do but just lay on top of each other. So with that being said, Nick Cannon, he said that he having some babies. He said the stork is showing up and showing out in 2022, 2023. He said that I believe he said this on Angela Yee's show. He said that he had lost his child due to some complications and whatnot. He was depressed, and his therapist said, maybe just be celibate for a little bit. And so he did that for a month and a half. And he said just in December, people just started being generous because they saw how sad he was. And I guess he's not one to say no. So so the stork is why? See, that's why can't nobody get no infamil. Nick Cannon keep having all these babies. What else? Can't get no diapers from ages 0 months to 24 months. Man, some of them babies be wearing them for 48 months, but that's none of my business. What quality? Okay, the bread is there. What quality of life or fatherhood can you give to 10, 15 kids by different moms? What do you think about this, Kendra?
That is a really loaded question. But my thoughts are, I'm echoing that sentiment. What quality of parenting and attention can you give to 10 kids? And especially when, you're in that entertainment lifestyle, I don't think a lot of people realize like how grueling of a schedule that is. That's a very loaded question, but I do struggle to understand how the kids will be able to have a father when he's got the lifestyle that he has, and there's so many of them.
And you know what? My good Lord. Now I grew up in the church. I'm Southern Baptist to the core. They said be fruitful and multiply. So I guess he doing his job. If he don't do nothing else, the Bible said he said I'm gonna be fruitful and multiply. I just can't. I can't fathom it. I know some cats that's just running around in Indianapolis got 10 kids and 5 baby mamas and ain't got millions of dollars now. So I guess they managing. Sometimes they get them together and they be taking them pictures every now and then. They get them all together and then the girl he with just be sitting back in disgust. We got your brood of children again. We got your brood of children this week. So I guess you go get them. But I guess if he keep the money and what they said, the perks coming, I guess it don't matter. But anyway, just had to start you off with a little something there. Kendra, now the reason what caught my eye, you posted a status, and it was speaking of loaded. It had so much information, and I'm reading and I said, what does it all mean? Hey, so I had to go, because it was all this like marketing and business stuff, like all this advice, and it was some jewels. And not everybody, follows, on Facebook. That's more of a personal thing. We have our personalities. We got our Uniqo Williams of the world. We got our Kendra LaSalle of the world. But the Facebook is a little bit more intimate, if you will. And so I saw that, and I was like, I just wanted you to share some of your thoughts from that status, and then also just drop some jewels. We just want to hear them.
All right. Well, I'm going to start out with a little bit of history, I guess. So we started out talking about 2020 and how things changed. And the change has actually been in effect for like quite a while. But 2020 is really when, on a large scale, you really could see a really big change in how the world works and what has value in the marketplace. When I was on the plane on my last trip, there was somebody sitting next to me and they were having a conversation about their child who had just graduated college. And they were talking about how gifted and talented this person was and how they were having trouble finding a job. Regardless of the skill level, regardless of and this was a person, just from my own perception of what I judged the person to look like, which that's another ball game. But this is a person who seemed reasonably affluent, reasonably well connected. And regardless of the affluence and the connection, this person was still having trouble. And he was talking about how, well, everybody is talented. Everybody is gifted. And you have to be able to set yourself apart. So in 2020 and beyond, stale 1990s, 1980s, 1970s approaches do not work anymore. How to stand out, how to get a job. And my status was really more geared to entrepreneurs and artists and entertainers and
Mm-hmm.
just people who kind of like are more on the independent side, but it still does apply to you if you want to be advancing in your career.
Mm-hmm.
You want to be able to differentiate yourself, but the way that it's being traditionally taught has expired.
Mm.
And that is what the status was about.
So everybody in the moment now, I've been doing this. I've been wanting to have a show called Love Jones. Back when I was in third grade, one time my boy Karan Doss, I'll never forget, he asked me for some girl advice in third grade. And I was like, you know what? Keep on taking that girl's quarters and let her keep on buying you them cookies. And then one day she'll wise up and, you'd be cookie rich. But at the end of the day, I was like, you know what? I want to give that advice. But I've always wanted to do this. And so when I finally get everything together, I finally get my life together, I stopped doing the whole group approach because folk wasn't acting right. You know how black folk is. Boy, they always find something to do that ain't the right. And I finally got myself together. And now everybody's got a podcast. Everybody can do what I'm doing right now. Anybody. I don't know. As long as you got some internet and a camera, you can hop on here and do this. And so I thought it's so insightful because I'm like, man, what is a way to, how do I do this without being Draymond Green? I'm just Joe Jones. I'm known
Yeah,
locally, but sometimes we don't even get the support locally. I know for a fact, Tyler the creator, he had to go to Europe first
that's right.
and then
That's
come
right.
back over here. So
Right.
um, oh, y'all, she even drink out of chalice. I'm telling you, she is she's so regal. but but I have to think now. I'm like, what can I do? What's some new apps that's coming out? Maybe I can get on that. So it was just it got my wheels turning. And I was just like, maybe I should start playing video games. These kids seem to like this. Maybe I get on that. So it definitely was thought provoking. Um, what other advice could you give to people? Because I mean, he sat up there. What he said? He said everybody's talented, huh?
Yeah, he said, everybody's got this degree, everybody's got the same credentials, for the jobs that this person was applying for.
Mm-hmm.
Um, at this stage, like being qualified doesn't cut it. Um,
Mm.
what it's about your values, your personal values, and do they align with the organization's values? And as far as if you're an entrepreneur, it's about your values and how your audience aligns with your values.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not about presenting like a squeaky clean image, and it's not about being a role model. It's about being real, a real person. That the old stuff is dead, and I think a lot of people were confused by the post, and I think a lot of people were confused because they thought I meant that you could be rude to your customers. You can have an attitude with your customers. You can say what you want to say. That's not what I'm talking about.
They never get it, especially on
Yeah,
social
that's
media.
not what I'm
That's
talking
what
about.
I
So
said. I said, Kendra, come on here and tell these folk what you mean, because they don't
that's
listen.
not what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is collectively since 2020, there's an energy of healing that is overtaking a lot of different communities.
Mm-hmm.
And like like I don't know if you've seen this, but have you seen like the ads on YouTube and on Facebook about like better help and
Yes.
black mental health? And this guy was like, I he was like a black gay guy, and he was like, I never thought about having a therapist, and now I'm getting a therapist, and I just thought that was for white folks, and listen, there is a wave of healing that people don't even realize is taking place. So with that comes a lot of thoughts and ways of being in the world that people are unfamiliar with because people are not familiar with mental health.
Mm-hmm.
And so what people are doing now is taking their healing and putting it in their whole life. So now people are realizing I have worth and I have value and I don't have to be treated like crap.
Ooh,
Listen, so that's the thing.
ooh,
Like
you said a
your
word there.
employer, your employer is asking you to do things that are not a part of your job description,
Mm-hmm.
but you have a lack consciousness and you have desperation that for whatever reason that happened in your past, you feel desperate, so you think that you have to act outside of your character in
Mm-hmm.
order to live your life for sustenance and eating and getting this paycheck.
Mm-hmm.
People are tired of that and people are healing from that, and they're taking their lives back. They're like, listen, I can live according to my values. I don't have to take this. And the customer is not always right. If you're trying to take advantage, I'm not servicing you. If you don't want to pay
Period.
my price, the next person will. And the perspective around things like that, around like people complaining about prices, people complaining about how you market. Listen, if you don't like the person's marketing, it doesn't mean the person is wrong. It means that person has a different value system than you do, and that you're not aligned with their services. That is basically what the post means. Like, people are taking back their power and they're allowed to live their life according to their belief system.
I know that's right. You said a word right there. Whew. My grandma had been here. We would have ran around the church together. You wouldn't been able to find us. You
Amen.
wouldn't have been able to find us. They said Joseph and Marie. They running up and down Wolf Street. They just heard a word, but
Listen, my dad's a pastor. I might have to get hacking in here.
what, hold on. Let me take it. Let me take it back to the good old days. Ooh, Lord. I'm, I'm waiting for a secretary of the church bring me that. You know they got the best water, don't you, Pastor? Man,
Holy water.
you know I used to sit up there, Pastor Jackson, back when I was young. Miss Carolyn come up there with them white gloves on, and she with that towel on the top of it. Put that,
Yep.
and she'd take it right up there, sit next to him. He might have some coffee while he up there too. Now he done did that before. You get them 7 o'clock services. They got to get paid twice.
I just
Uh,
stay away.
and that glass be just so moist and fogged up. And I just be like, man, if I could just get a not touch the hem of his garment, but if I could get a
If
sip
I
of
could
the
just get a
water.
sip, water.
I'm trying to tell you. I'm trying to tell you. But taking your power back and that I love it. Especially people coming into the workforce. I believe that if people can, I know you need a check, y'all. I swear to God, I know. Because if anybody need a check, I need one. Child, please, I need one. But if you have the opportunity to find something that it aligns with your values, it becomes more than a check. Thank you for the check, but now I'm enjoying the experience. I'm enjoying working. I'm enjoying being a part of this group that does this thing. I'm enjoying that. You do. I love that, and I'm glad that people are healing. I personally was on a journey throughout this whole since the pandemic. I really sat there and I was like, what has really been bothering me, and why am I angry sometimes, and stuff like
Hmm.
that, and I was like, no, I'm my own therapist. I'm so smart. I'm so smart. I know what's going on. I can figure this out. I can have the self control to not be upset or to not let things bother me. And I would tell some of my ex girlfriends that back in the day, and I'm like, you girl, you just put them pills down. You don't need them pills, man. That man that prescribed to you. She really probably did. And I'm like, you can choose how you want to feel, man. For some people, you can't. And people deal with stuff differently. And then I found out like why do I care about stuff from 17 years ago? You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? And I'm glad that people are figuring that stuff out. And there's a wealth opportunity. I know there's people trying to make money off of it now. But because I see that better health and all that stuff, I listen to Gary with the T faithfully every Friday on YouTube and Spotify and all that. But I gotta support my OG Ricky Smiley show every day, Monday through Friday, 6 to 10 Eastern Standard Time. Uh, but I I know this. It was a perfect time because people was having mental health issues because they just stuck in a house. Now, oh, guess what else you had to do during the quarantine? Get to know somebody. Yo, whether that's your partner, you might have got to know your kids. To be honest, what you like to
Yep.
do? You still like Power Rangers? Dad, I'm 14. I'm 14, Dad. And I'm like, damn. So with that being said, yeah, I'm glad you spoke on this wave of healing, and I'm glad people are finding like who they are, what they're trying to do, and like I said, looking in that mirror, I just realized like, yo, I ain't it. I got a lot of work to do, So that's a beautiful thought. So what do you think about therapy in the black community? We talk about this a lot on Man Cave, and again, especially in our community, because they used to tell us pray on it, and everything would be all right. But man, one day I knew something was going on. My grandpa said, I'm trying to tell you, and one day my grandpa was taking me to school my senior year, and he said he just noticed something was off, and he said, and usually pray on it. He said, Joseph, do you need to go talk to somebody? Man, it threw me off. And even he at that time, but that 2006, he even understood that it's gonna take more than that. So, what's our stigma in the black community as far as therapy and stuff like that?
The stigma in the black community, in my opinion, and just based off of like a lot of research that I have done, and also being a former mental health professional,
Mm-hmm.
we have a lot of collective trauma.
Ooh, child.
And as a means to deal with that collective trauma, we have taken on a group identity of strength.
Mm.
So in the Black community, it's viewed as a sign of strength to be able to be abused and traumatized and not break down. It is seen. Have you ever heard of the term weak minded?
I've heard weak-minded before. 100%.
Weak minded. Weak minded. People are describing people as weak minded in the Black community when they are suffering.
That's a big
That's not,
difference.
that's not okay. Like, that
Mm-hmm.
is not okay. The stigma comes from the legacy of slavery, Jim Crow, and the normalization of abuse and trauma that has happened in our community as a result of those things. And we have perpetuated those things in Black on Black relationships.
Mm.
And it's high time that we recognize what healthy behaviors are and start to implement those. Now, the religion thing, that's a separate piece, because the cultural stigma and the religious thing are two separate things. They kind of overlap, but they're two separate things. And I'm going to share another story here.
Mm.
So I was on Facebook scrolling, and I come across an ad. Like, there's ads are normal on Facebook, right? It was a Black woman who was specializing in racial abuse trauma. I believe it was specifically for Black women too.
This is an ad.
This was an ad.
Okay.
Sis was like naming her credentials, explaining the unique plight of Black mental health, the dearth and the lack when it comes to having licensed professionals who actually are educated in that. That's also a different story,
Mm.
right? Because going to therapy as a Black person can also cause more trauma when people don't know what the heck they're talking about and they don't even believe in racism. Another topic. Okay. So anyway, sis is listing her credentials. She's talking about all this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Her target audience is Black folks. And do you know how many sisters came on there and bashed her?
Wow. Plenty.
All you need is Jesus.
Oh Lord.
All you need is the prayer. This is
Mm.
a waste of time. Listen, I am not against faith. I am not against prayer. I am not against Jesus. What do I look like? Like, you know who I am,
Right.
most of you, right? I I am heavily invested in all that. But would you tell somebody who had a headache not to take Advil? Or would you tell somebody who needed heart surgery not to have a triple bypass and be like, pray on it? It's unacceptable. It is unacceptable. You pray and you go to therapy. People are lacking in tools. God sent that lady to help you process your trauma that you probably don't even know you have, right? And your prayer life probably, if it was intact, would have been like, wow, look at who God sent for us. That's how it works. That is how it works. Your blessings don't materialize out of thin air. They materialize out of the relationships that you have in your life.
Mm-hmm.
They even if the relationship to a person is a stranger, that's still a relationship. If a stranger came up and gave you $50 and you got blessed today, it came through another person. So we got to in therapy, that's called magical thinking. It's actually like a form in psychology. Magical thinking is a form of delusion.
Ooh, we know about that word. I see it every
Yeah.
day.
So
Mm.
there is a difference between believing in your healing and praying for a healing and not following through on what God would have you to do in order to receive it.
You know, that remind me of that story. They said, you know about the everybody know the story, I reckon, but I tell the folks that don't. It's an old story. What they said, there was a flood and the man on the roof, and they sent a helicopter, they sent a boat. He kept saying, "God gonna save me," and he ended up drowning. He said, "God, what happened?" He said, "Boy, I sent you a boat and a helicopter and a rope and everything. Matter of fact, I magically taught you how to swim." But that's what he does. He has proxies and stuff like that. There's different ways that he can move. Now it ain't like the old days where he writing on the wall like "I exist" or just burning in bushes just to be messing with people. Because if I was God, that's what I do. I just mess with people. Just start burning in a bush, like, hey, pray, nigga. But but he's he allows, I believe, and I ain't trying to go to church, but I'm full of spirit today. He sends stuff through proxy, and
That's
and
right.
and he, it ain't all, and he gives us enough room for us to learn and figure it out ourselves, because
That's
that's what the whole
absolutely
point, that's the whole point of why, if you're well versed in the Bible, or if you're not, the whole point of us being here is to exercise our free will, and at the end of the day is to choose to believe in him, but also he gives you free will to make your own decisions. And that's where I feel like we get caught up in, we just waiting for this savior. Now I can understand it. In slavery times, you just need a rock, something to lean on, something to give you hope.
absolutely.
And Harriet Tubman said, "Child, I know a path out of here. Now come
That's
with
right.
me, or you can stay there. But I'm gonna get out
Yep.
of here." And I know this path, and there's people along this path that can help us get on out of here. And that's the proxies that
So
he set them people in place to get them where they needed to go.
so that reminds, well, no, you're right. That reminds me of like, I mean, since we're talking about it, we got to talk about it. So
Mm-hmm.
we're talking about the Black community and its aversion to taking care of their mental health,
Mm-hmm.
and a part of that is religion.
Mm-hmm.
It's a fact. And so, since we're on the topic, it just reminds me a lot of like the story of Moses. Like,
Mm.
um, and you're talking about a proxy and people who are so spiritual, but they can't even see who was sent to them in front of their face. That happened in the story of Moses too, did it not?
It
Did
did.
that not happen?
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, some you and a lot of times it's people who don't read the Bible, people who lack discernment, people who are spoon fed. That's like one of my favorite phrases. And I've always been kind of like a more open minded thinker, which in the church community, it doesn't seem like all that's not very encouraged. But that's something I've been peeping since I was about 15 in the Black church community, is this level of being spoon fed.
Mm-hmm.
You have you have, if if you're religious, you have to develop your own religious muscle. You have to develop your own discernment and your own connection and your own wisdom. Do not be spoon fed information. And that's like one of the keys, I believe, to get Black people on like a path to be able to heal as far as like mental health is concerned. Develop your own discernment. Do your own research. Read your own Bible.
Mm-hmm. They say study to show thyself approved. Hey,
That's right.
you remember back in the late '90s and early 2000s, people used to act like that was a magical power. Like, oh well, I got the spirit of discernment. So it's a
I
fog,
do remember
it's a
that.
fog over the city. It's a fog over the city of Anderson. I said we been knew that. You ain't, you ain't need no
I
power.
do
You
remember
ain't
that.
need no powers to know that. I'm looking at it right now. Yeah, yeah, but you know they used to they was magicians back in the day, wasn't they? In the church house, they was magicians. They Joseph is a calling over your life. I said I know that. It's the bill collector. He called me every day. No, boy they used to do us bad, man. I remember one time we went to a retreat. This was the most bizarre thing. I had just caught my touchdown against Kokomo. I was feeling good, and we went out in the middle of the woods, and when we had a oh they played a tape. Remember they said if you play rap songs backwards, it's the devil telling you to
Yes.
do
Oh my
stuff.
gosh, I remember that.
and, and they play them backwards. I'm like, devil. I said, you don't put that in there. You got that in there, didn't you? You used Kaiser and Napster and used Fruity
Oh
Loops.
my god.
you,
And
and
LimeWire.
you done got your grandma a virus on the computer just so you can chop this up to make it say devil backwards. Boy, you ain't about to write. But that's Sunday. That Sunday night, we about to load up and go on the van, and everybody sitting up there. Now you know, like I said, I always had my eyebrow because people just had too many powers in there. Now I try and do Kamehamehas ever since I was a kid, so I said, ain't no way this about to work. Oh yes, child, you already know. Uh, Also, she watched anime with her brother, by the way, which makes her awesome as well. I'm telling you, she's the penultimate big sister, man. I'm trying to tell you. Shout out to my big sister Joyce, but she don't fool with Kamehamehas. Anyway, and that Sunday, they started a bonfire and they start kumbaya, singing a song or two. And they said, now come on, ladies, put them thongs in the fire. Put that lacy stuff. Now, mind you, in high school.
Did that happen for real?
Girl, I wouldn't tell you if it didn't. He they said all the women y'all throw y'all thongs in the fire. And y'all kids. And so some girls dug deep in their bag. I guess they were looking for a good time during that weekend. Duck off into the woods. They threw them in there, and then they said, fellas, throw all your rap albums. You had them CDs back then with the walk with the CD player. Throw all them rap CDs. Throw them in the fire. Man, I'll never forget my boy Joe Williams. He threw every Jay-Z album and every T.I. album into that fire. And I sat and put my headphones on, and started listening to my stuff because I wasn't about to throw nothing in that fire that day. They was tripping, but that was some stuff. That's the kind of church stuff. Them experiences right there was wild. Sorry, Joe, if you watch this, man, you was stupid for that. Yeah. he had to go back to Sam Goody and buy him 2 weeks later and buy all over again. You remember Sam Goody's in the mall? He had to go back and buy all over again. That's when CDs about $15-$20. But I hope us as a community, I think we've gotten past that because you know what, they even have pastors and reverends now that are in the LGBTQ community, and they do well in Los Angeles. And they're well
Yeah.
renowned and
It
respected.
depends on where you are, if you're not
Hmm.
in the Bible Belt and all that stuff.
Atlanta got their fair share, but they moved from Atlanta and go to LA, where it is a little bit more accepted. But Atlanta of all places, you would think like they'd have more mega churches, but they moving on. They can people, you know, people can have a walk with God no matter what you're doing. I don't care if you're a crackhead or nothing. You can still have a walk with God. And And now y'all ain't never heard me get all religious like this, but I believe in it. But I believe it guides me, guides my path. I ain't about to write. I told y'all if I would ever be a pastor, we go out to the church gathering. I'm gonna have a beer. Uh, uh, I cuss with you and all that stuff. But that don't mean that my heart for God is not there. So I'm just letting y'all know if I'm ever anybody's pastor, man, we gonna show out. We gonna have a good time.
Just in case. Just in case.
We gonna be at the dice game. I got a word for you, but we gonna be at the dice game and I'm gonna cuss with you. I'll tell you that much. But Kendra, you got anything else you want to speak on today? Cause I got you here. I just,
Well, I want to talk about what you were just talking about as far as
yeah,
like self-expression and religion.
yeah, yeah.
I have a story. It's not like a personal story or anything, but like I have a friend who was going into ministry and they felt like they had to cut off their locks in order to be a minister because they wouldn't be able to reach as many people if they had the locks. And so for me and what I do in my work, which if you didn't know, if I didn't say, um, I work with the company as a luxury stylist, but I'm also starting like my own business and my own program. And I basically combine my mental health know-how with my style know-how in order to um, bring out people's authentic self-expression in order to basically bring about life changes. But the point of that story is that not being who you are is not the way to advance whatever your life mission is.
Mm,
That's not the way. God made you you. God made your unique way of expressing your style.
mm-hmm.
And if you're stifling that, you're not showing up in your full expression, you're not showing up in your full potential, and you're not reaching the people that you were supposed to reach. And that doesn't matter if you're a minister, if you're an entrepreneur,
Mm-hmm.
if you're an artist, if you're the world's greatest hairstylist, you know, my personal belief is that everybody has a purpose on this planet.
I know that's right.
And we have been taught wrongly by society how to be living in the world. You don't go out and be like, what do I want to be when I grow up? And then fit yourself into some template or mold. You
Mm.
ask yourself first, who am I? That's what you ask. Once you answer that question, you start aligning who you are with what you're doing. And people do not know how to do that. And that's what I'm here to teach.
Absolutely. I love that. I love that so much because I lost myself. I know I lost myself, girl. I was out there sagging and hanging on the street corner and wasn't doing nothing. And I think people just really do have to find that comfortability in who they are, who you grew up. There's already a template in you. It's already
That's
a
right.
template. The things you're receptive to, all those
That's
type
right.
of things, it's already there when you're born. Whether it's chemical or whether the Lord put it on you. At the end of the day, you already have a template, so there's no reason to change that template. And I
That's
found
right.
I found myself doing that on a lot of occasions. And when I sat down, I said, you know what? No, I'm supposed to be talking to people. Period.
That's right. Yeah, period.
And I said, and I stopped, cause it's like you got that thing in your heart, and every time you go against it, something bad happen. It don't
Mm-hmm.
go right because you're going against what you really supposed to be doing. And I tell you what, I've never been happier. I've never been happier. The day I decided to get on this microphone and take this stuff serious, and realize sometimes I got to do it myself and learn this stuff.
That's right, Joe.
And
I
I.
love it.
But I was like, dang, Joe, you are good enough. You good. You don't need to be this thing. Just be
No.
yourself. And so now,
Well, I just I think that you know, successful people give vague advice.
Mm.
And we consume information in like these little bite-sized tidbits. And people, when you're young, they be like, "Oh, be yourself," or like all these little things that people say. But no one, I don't say no one because it's not true. But there are so few examples of people actually doing it out there that people need help being themselves. And I know it sounds overly simplistic to tell somebody to be themselves, but people really don't know how to. They really don't, because they've got all this religious programming. Now, religion and spirituality with God are two different things.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going into that, but you got religious dogma. You got all this K through 12 stuff that you found out was a lie when you got grown, but it's still, still operating on it, and
Mm-hmm.
it's outdated. You got whatever your parents said, and they grew up in the 60s, outdated. People don't know how. People don't know how. And when they see somebody who's freed themselves and they see somebody who is themselves, they think they're crazy.
Yeah, you right. And then let's not forget the influence of social media as well. That's it got everybody. That's what take you out of your mold sometimes. Man, I my daughter, she is a free thinker if I ever met one. Um, I even find myself thinking back in old ways. Like she's tall as hell, and like I'm like, please pick up this ball or hit it over the net at least. Something, do something. All that tall, and I can't. But at the end of the day, that's not what she wants to do, and so I have to try and figure out what do you want me to buy you some crayons? You want a paint set? Like what? Do you need me to buy you some paper so you can write books? Like what is it you want to do? And I'm trying to. That's what I struggle because I know I want her to play ball, and she's fine in school, but I want her to do something athletic with the talent she has. But it's not my journey. But so I try and encourage that what she wants to do, and let her know that it's okay.
It's okay.
Do what you want to do. Now, every now and then I'll be like, they got basketball tryouts this week. You change your mind yet? You want to go to a Fever game? Check them out. I'll take you to the TikTok store if you go to the Fever game with me. But I'm always poking pride. But at the end of the day, I'm very proud of her and her free thinking, and she's definitely not like
Absolutely.
anyone. And she's freely done. I saw the signs when she was a kid, but it was like I didn't think it would manifest into what it is now. So like at some point, she might be like painting her face like Insane Clown Posse. I just had to go with it, I guess. Hey, okay, girl, what's your new song?
Go on, girl.
What what you want to go to Korea for K-pop? Okay, I'll give you a couple dollars on it. Go ahead, girl. Corn dog, Korean corn dog. It's good, girl.
Like,
mm.
it's different, but if you like it, I love it.
Oh, noodles again? Okay. It's like she even do that with like her food habits now. Like it's like I'm about to make me a couple noodles for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Well, all right, man, whatever. But yeah, Kendra, you got anything else for us today?
No, not at all.
I gotta ask you now. Where can they find you? Where do you want to from a social media standpoint, or is there anything you want to give attention to?
So right now, I'm in the process of putting my image alchemy course together.
What that
It's
mean?
going to be so basically, it's like alchemy is like transforming something something that is of lesser value into something of high value, like coal to a diamond.
Mm-hmm.
So my next course is going to be a one-on-one way to work with me, and it's going to be called Image Alchemy. And basically, what that is, we determine like what your design is as a human, like your basic traits of who you are, what your value system is, and we get that in alignment with how you present yourself on the outside. So it's basically like wearing your soul on the outside.
Mm.
And it's something I started doing maybe 2 years ago. And like I always get style, like people get like wanting style advice and whatnot. And so I just decided to like dive into being a stylist, but also like making it life changing.
Mm-hmm.
And when I started like dressing from my soul, I stopped having to try so hard for opportunities. Like it just seemed like things were looking for me, things were magnetized to me. And everybody can do that. It's a natural gift that I have, but everybody can do it. And it's called image alchemy. So we basically deprogram your mind of how you think you're supposed to look. We deal with your body image issues. We get all that junk out your brain, from a mental health perspective.
Mm-hmm.
And then we recreate your wardrobe and how you present. Then we make like we redo your resume and we give you the tools to like reshape your life in the way that it's supposed to be and the way you want to live it. So that's going to be my next offering, Image Alchemy. The website is in the works currently, but you can find me on Facebook. My name is Kendra LaSalle. I have a business page and I have a personal page. I do accept new friends. I'm almost at my 5,000 limit though. So
Hey,
if you
now.
want to be my personal friend,
You
gotta
better hurry
hurry up.
up.
Otherwise, you can like me there. My Instagram is at @hey_it's_Kendra, at it's Kendra. And I do have a website that's being worked on, but it has a lot of good content up still, and it's heartlandhope.com. And if you want to contact me about any of my programs, I do have 4 different programs that I offer. So if you don't need like a complete life makeover, we got other makeovers for you, hunty.
Okay.
Like, so if you want to contact me about that, just inbox me on Facebook or Instagram or my email, which is heartlandhopeblog@gmail.com.
Bet that up, y'all. I'm gonna make sure that I put it in the description of the YouTube. Our listeners, make sure that y'all just write it down fast. So just press rewind. Y'all got it. But on YouTube, we will definitely make sure that we put the details and all her links and all that stuff. We're gonna put that in the description of it. It's just gonna be down there. It's just right there. But you know what? I have to end my show. How I end my show, Kendra. Now, ladies, if you're looking for somebody to apply some alchemy to your insides, look no further than me. Go to christianmingle.com. I am Bar Swallow. Look me up and we can make a change. Also, you know the deal. We are on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and mama, I'm on Spotify. Overall 99 Media, that is the YouTube page. Make sure you like, subscribe, and do all of that. We just coming at you Monday through Friday, and then sometimes Saturday and Sunday. It just depends on my mood. But y'all know what we do, Man Cave, Just a Fan. Do you hear me? You're listening to me now. But I appreciate all the support. Make sure that you like and subscribe. And thanks for tuning in to another episode of Do You Hear Me? Go Williams. I holla. Thanks for watching. Make sure you follow me on all my social media platforms. Don't forget, every Thursday, the full podcast is on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and mama, I'm on Spotify. Overall 99 ENT bring you videos from Friday all the way to Friday. So be sure to like and subscribe to the channel. We appreciate it. Again, thank you so much. I holla.